Standing Orders 10(2) to 10(4) be suspended for 10th November 2025.
I call on Robbie Butler to move the motion on behalf of the Business Committee.
So moved, Mr Speaker.
Before we proceed, I remind members that we need cross-committee support for this. The question is, the motion standing order paper be agreed? All those in favour say aye. Wonder if any no. As there are ayes from all sides of the House, no dissenting voices, I believe that cross-committee support has been demonstrated. The motion is agreed and the Assembly can sit beyond 7 p.m. this evening if required. Next item of business is a motion signed by at least 30 members under Section 30 of the Northern Ireland Act 1998 in relation to the exclusion of the Minister of Education from office. Clerk, please read the motion.
That this Assembly, under Section 30(1)(b) of the Northern Ireland Act 1998, resolves that, further to his recent visit to Israel, the Minister of Education no longer enjoys the confidence of the Assembly because of his failure to observe paragraphs C, D and CE of the Pledge of Office relating to his duty to uphold and support the rule of law, and his failure to observe paragraph G relating to his duty to comply with the Ministerial Code of Conduct, and that he should be excluded from holding office as a Minister or Junior Minister for a period of 12 months.
Thank you. Move the motion. I just want to make a few remarks. Conscious that we've already had heated exchanges during the urgent questions on these matters last week. And I understand that these are matters in which there are strong feelings across the House, and members know that I will uphold the right on everyone to scrutinise ministers and hold them to account, and I also welcome robust debate. However, I do remind members of our standards of debate of good temper, moderation, courtesy and respect. Robust arguments can be made on the issues in a respectful way without being disorderly. I would also remind members that if I'm going to get lots and lots of points of order throughout the debate, I will just hold all the points of order until the end of the debate, as it will interfere with the running of matters. Gerry Carroll.
Move, Mr Speaker. Thank you, Mr Speaker. It's clear the Minister of Education has lost the confidence of the majority of parties and MLAs in this House. I want to thank the parties who supported the motion today, Sinn Féin, SDLP Alliance and Clare Sugden Independent as well. And the Minister has lost the support of tens of thousands of people outside this building as well, including teaching unions and many working in education. He has brought his department into disrepute, failed to uphold the Pledge of Office and failed to comply with the Ministerial Code of Conduct. I wish to set out with the utmost clarity the case for Paul Givan to resign as Minister for Education. Paul Givan, Mr Speaker, stated that he travelled to Israel in his capacity as an individual MLA. This was found to be untrue. He later admitted that it was his idea and decision to make the trip relevant to his role as Education Minister. Minister Givan claimed that the trip came at no cost to the public purse. This is also untrue. The visit to the school was publicised using departmental resources. Last week in this House, the Minister stated that he had meetings with his officials in the department to discuss the trip. This has also a cost attached to it. The Functioning of Government Act states that a minister who holds an official meeting must ensure when a civil servant is present. This did not happen, even though Paul Givan said explicitly that the school visit was directly relevant to his ministerial portfolio. Despite the bluster and mudslinging from the Minister, Mr Speaker, there's no doubt these meetings were official meetings. Paul Givan said that the parts of his visit pertaining to his role as Minister were totally non-political. This, again, is not true. He visited the Israeli Parliament, where he was listed not as an individual MLA, but as the Minister for Education. He shared an overtly political social media post about the event, insinuating that Israeli parliamentarians think the North should remain a part of the UK. Paul Givan claims that his trip to Israel was an objective, fact-finding mission. And indeed, the principle of integrity within the Ministerial Code of Conduct states that those in public office should not have financial or other obligations to outside organisations that could influence their official duties. This rule was clearly flouted. The visit was a propaganda junket funded by the Israeli state. There could be no other way to describe it, hence the huge outcry from a huge amount of the public. A matter of days before this trip, Mr Speaker, Paul Givan stated in this very chamber his thanks to the Israeli Israeli Defence Forces, as he calls them. I wonder, was this before he had his ticket booked to Jerusalem? Carroll, in response to the incredibly serious questions about his decision-making in office, Minister Givan, has refused to acknowledge or apologise for breaking the rules of his office. Instead, he has sought to deflect, obfuscate and to sling offensive, inaccurate slurs. Had he not been so offensive and so arrogant, this might have blown over. The Minister has levelled the charge of anti-Semitism against me, in particular, and other members of this chamber who have asked questions about his recent trip to Israel. I wish to refute this in the strongest possible terms and to condemn the Minister for diminishing the truly horrific and deeply serious reality of anti-Semitism by flinging it at his critics like a get-out-of-jail-free card. And I'd also like to remind him of the great replacement type conspiracy theories repeated by his own party colleagues almost every single week, which have their roots in anti-Semitic hatred. It is his party that peddles far-right rhetoric in an attempt to deflect and blame minorities and migrants for society's ills. The Minister should be ashamed and apologetic, but then he's not known for his honesty or his humility. As I have just set out, the case for the Minister to resign is strong, Mr Speaker, before we even consider that he made an official visit to a state carrying out an active genocide against the people of Palestine. And while ministers here do have a duty to prevent genocide at all costs. For the record, I believe that the Minister travelling to Israel during this genocide is reason enough to question his fitness for ministerial office. Israel has openly defied international law time and time again, inflicting maximum suffering on civilians. Not just my view or view of other parties in this House, but the words of the UN High Commissioner for Human Rights. The International Court of Justice, Mr Speaker, has recognised the unlawfulness of Israel's ongoing presence in the occupied Palestinian territory. Paul Givan chose to visit a school in those occupied territories. Bizarrely, he patted himself on the back for visiting the school on illegally occupied territory because it was integrated. The irony of this statement should not be lost on no one, given his party's role in preventing integration at home every step of the way. The Minister has also repeated lies about the education system, the education that Palestinians receive. He's claimed last week that they are told to hate the Jews. This is completely false and inaccurate. Deeply racist towards Arabs and ignores the hatred taught in the Israeli education system. And a second, maybe. A state where death to the Arabs is regularly chanted in streets by settlers with absolutely no repercussions. Days before the Minister smiled for pictures in the Knesset, that very same body voted to annex the West Bank, a decision which would further breach international law and which has been criticised heavily by US Vice President J.D. Vance and Secretary of State Mark Rubio, those well-known members of that left-wing cabal. Millions of us, Mr Speaker, have been forced to watch the death, torture and bloodshed and suffering of Palestinian people at the hands of the Israeli state, and I cannot fathom how anyone could see children with missing limbs and lifeless bodies being pulled out of rubble and accept the invitation from the people who are directly responsible for that mass slaughter. The Minister and his party have made a fundamental mistake in writing off the anger of the Palestine Solidarity Movement and people across communities in the north as anti-Semitic, sectarian or terrorist sympathising. This isn't just a cynical tactic of deflection, Mr Speaker. The DUP accused their critics of being anti-Semitic or sectarian because they wanted so desperately to be the truth. They fear, maybe in a second, they fear the power in the local and global solidarity movement with Palestine, which is cross-community, diverse and filled with millions of people of all ages, religions and backgrounds. In response to this motion being brought today, Mr Speaker, some people have talked about the need to focus on issues at home. And I would say at home, look at the state of our schools. 84 schools across the north are suffering from black mould, 6 of which are in the Minister's own constituency. This is the context in which he chose to travel to Israel for 6 days to visit one school and smile alongside the Israeli government. The Education Authority recently told principals to take any and all actions to reduce expenditure, to fill a £300 million black hole in the budget, austerity on steroids. The Minister ordered the removal of guidance and support for trans pupils from the EA website, trying to further kick and marginalise and attack a community already under huge repression and attacks against them. His department published plans to criminalise teachers for not taking part in school inspections while taking legal industrial action. And just last week, the EA announced it's hiking the price of school meals, making cuts to overtime payments on school music programmes. Last week, a few days ago, Mr. Speaker, I was contacted by an EOTAS teacher who works with marginalised, vulnerable young people, and disgracefully, the EA have told them that referrals to this provision are being suspended. And as you can imagine, the staff are demoralised and furious about the lack of communication and transparency. And I could go on and on and on, but it's a long list that I won't have time to go through. Paul Givan's time and tenure, Mr. Speaker, as the Education Minister was marred with controversy and failings long before this scandal. In his role as Education Minister, he has failed education workers, he has failed schools, and has failed some of the most vulnerable and marginalised in our communities. He has ducked and weaved in and out of the truth to justify a trip to Israel as it continues to actively commit genocide against Palestinians. While he was in Israel, he failed to uphold the Pledge of Office, failed to comply with the Ministerial Code of Conduct, and he has made deeply offensive and unfounded accusations of anti-Semitism because he is in a tailspin. And I'm sure many of the same slanderous remarks will be recycled in today's debate, as the DUP aren't renowned for their creativity. They should be utterly rejected and condemned by all. Carroll, it's an embarrassment to the institutions that big parties here claim they want to protect at all costs, that Minister Givan can continue in his role as Minister for Education. I would appeal to the Minister to do the right thing, make your apologies, accept you're not fit to hold the Minister of Education, and step aside.
Good 5 minutes, Mr. Kearney. 5 minutes.
The participation of the Education Minister in his Israeli state-sponsored propaganda stunt was an obscene act, one which has caused deep offence. It has also been roundly condemned by teachers,